Annamacharya appeared in this world in the year 1408, which means he was amongst one of the first wave of the Bhakti saints. He is also called the Adi Kavi of Telugu Pad Sahitya. He is also one of the three Vaggeyakars of Telugu Sahitya. Others were Ramadasulu and Tyagaraja. He lived for 96 years, in which he wrote an astonishing 32,000 bhajans. We shall see the secret of that. Devotees of Tirupati, of Venkateswara, they don't realize the immense contribution of Annamacharya, which enabled people to cultivate the devotion to the Seven Hills region. The story of Annamacharya goes back to his ancestors. There was in ancient times a king called Nanda of a kingdom called Nandavaram in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh. And he loved to go regularly to have darshan of Chamundeshwari Mata in Varanasi. Once his wife insisted, "I need to go with you." He took her along, but in Varanasi she fell sick. Nanda Raja took the assistance of the Brahmins there, who subsequently came to be known as the Nandvarika Brahmins. They prayed to Mother Chamundeshwari, and the king's wife got cured. Subsequently, the Brahmin said, "You will return this favor to us when we need it." He said, "That's a deal," and he returned. A few years went by and there was a famine in Varanasi. The Brahmins approached Nand the king and said, "It's time for you to help us out. You had given your vow in front of Mother Chamundeshwari." He said, "Call her here." She agreed to come on the condition that the Brahmins would not look back. And she reached Nandavaram, where she got established as Mother Chaudeshwari. Now, the king did help 500 of these Brahmins, giving them space in his kingdom. The favor was returned. But as time went by, one of those Brahmins was from a sub-caste which the others did not prefer. And that is why none was willing to marry their son to her daughter. Seeing the situation, that anxious Brahman committed suicide. Before that, he cursed the rest of the Nandavarika Brahmins, "You shall forget your ancestry and you shall start doing worldly jobs." Now, not only they forgot their ancestry, but we'll see how it affected Annamacharya as well. And they became the priests of the weaver community. A group of them, when time went by, were living in Talapakka village. They are known as the Talapakka Brahmins. And in Annamacharya's ancestry was a Brahman called Narayanayya. His son was Vithalayya. And his son was again Narayanayya, from whom the story begins. So, Narayanayya was in the Gurukul. His father Vithalayya was anxious for him to become a scholar, but no matter how much he tried, nothing would enter his head. So he became frustrated and thought of committing suicide. when the deity of the village, Chintalamma, she came in his dream and said, "Why do you wish to commit suicide?" He said, "I am unable to study anything." She said, "Just study harder. It is so simple. It's a plain and simple logic. Nothing is impossible in this world if you try hard enough. Pray to the deity Chenna Keshava. He will bless you and work hard. And in your generation, in the third dynasty, a saint will be born who will greatly serve this world." So Annamayya followed the instructions. He did manage to become a scholar. His son Narayana Suri became a great poet. Narayana Suri's wife was Lakkambamba. Now Narayana Suri and Lakkambamba did not have a child. One day they went to Venkateswara Bhagwan in Tirupati and prayed and prayed and prayed. At night, Venkateswara Bhagwan came in their dream and said, "Don't be frustrated. I am sending a very special child in your house. Train him up very well." Soon after that, the child was born. When they returned back to Talapakka, they named the child Annamayya. The word Annamayya actually comes from the Vishnu Sahasranam's 105th verse as a word for Bhagavan Vishnu. It also refers to Vishnu, who energizes the Anna, the food that we all eat. And in one way, he is the Prana. Yau Pranasya Pranaha, the Ken Upanishad says. He is the Prana of all living beings. Annamayya from his childhood itself displayed exceptional symptoms. He would refuse to eat anything except for the prasad of Venkateswara Bhagwan. In his childhood, his parents, to put him to sleep, they would tell stories of Venkateswara and the various places in the 7 hills. He grew up in that environment. Now, when you relate the pastimes of the Lord to little children, they are so good at visualizing that they create in their mind the imagery that provides them the basis for bhakti for a lifetime. Now, in the case of Annamayya, alongside with that, he was learning Sanskrit, he was learning Telugu, he was learning music. And people were astonished at his musical abilities. He was able to comprehend philosophies and expound on them. His parents, they also had cows and they were living off the land, so they would send him off to take care of them. Now, all the preparation had been done, and only one push was required to send him in the direction of his life's calling. He was 16 years old. He had gone to graze the cows in the field, and cutting the grass, the sickle cut his finger, and the blood started oozing, and that pained him. The pain was secondary. He started a philosophical stream of thought. Why did this happen? My relatives who sent me here, were they responsible? Am I responsible? Did my relatives have the ability to help me in this time of pain? What is my connection with them? Will they help me at the last moment of my life? And then he decided that nobody is mine in this world. Now his spiritual sanskars were calling him. A group of devotees were going on a pilgrimage to Venkateswara. They were singing Govinda, Govinda. Edukondalavada, Venkataramana, Govinda. He felt a magical charm in their singing, as if something was calling deeply to him. And he decided to join that joyous band of devotees. Singing, he went along with them for 100 kilometers. Just prior to Tirupati, on the outskirts, is the temple of Gangamma. She is considered the sister of Venkateswara Bhagavan, and her job is to kill the demons. More so the demons within us: anger, greed, desire, hatred. So devotees, before visiting the Lord, they visit Gangamma, pray to her for cleanliness of mind. Once in a year, her puja is done in a great way in a festival, and the TTD Trust sends gifts from Venkateswara Bhagavan to his sister. Subsequently, he reached now the region of the 7 hills, Venkatadri. And when he looked at the land, he felt as if it was familiar, because he had heard all of this in his childhood. And he then composed a song immediately. This is the land where even the celestial gods, they take on the form of animals and they roam around. This is the Vaikuntha on earth. The land was always there. Annamayya was empowered by God to repeat the glories of the land, to fill the glories in people's heads, and to help people. Since then, not millions, could be billions of people have cultivated devotion through the region of the 7 hills because of the works of saints like Annamayya. He is considered the first writer of Bhajans on Venkateswara Bhagavan. One of the first. So in this way, the saints, they facilitate bhakti by helping devotees create divine sentiments. Annamayya did it towards the region of the 7 hills. The divinity is everywhere. Prabhu Vyapak Sarvatra Samana. Premate Prakat Hohi Bhagavan. Annamayya, his life's work was calling him. He now had already covered 100 kilometers to reach there. So he went up by the path which was about 12-13 kilometers. Now, of course, over time roads have been built, it has been shortened. In Annamayya's time, it was different. This was the year 1424. So he first went at the foothill itself to Alipiri, near which he offered his worship to Bhagavan Nrisingh. And then he offered his homage to Sri Padmavati, the place where Tirumala Nambi used to reside. Tirumala Nambi was the grandfather of Ramanujacharya. And he had actually taught the Ramayana to Ramanujacharya. He used to reside there and worship Bhagavan. Once he was late for his worship because of his other devotion, and Bhagavan himself came running. So he left his footprints there, and those footprints remain till today. That is why the place is still worshipped as Sri Padmavati, the place that has imprinted the feet of the Lord. And from there, he now went up the Peddaikudu to reach the place called Talayerugundu. And by the time he reached the cliff, the first cliff, Mokal Parvat, he was completely exhausted. Imagine the 100 kilometers and the added climbs. So he just collapsed there and went off to sleep. In his dream, the goddess, the consort of Venkateswara, Padmavati, who is also called Alimelu Mange. So goddess Alimelu Mange came in his dream and nursed him, removed all his tiredness, blessed him as her little child. And she said, "Don't worry, you will be fine." He woke up and he realized that he had received a divine blessing in his dream from Mother Padmavati. At that time, he then wrote the Venkateswara Satakam. The Venkateswara Satakam was his first Satakam. Satakam means 100 verses. And these 100 verses were to the goddess Alimelu Mange, Mother Padmavati. But each verse ends with the name of Venkateswara Bhagavan, so it is called Venkateswara Satakam. In that he glorifies the Divine Mother. So he went along to the different places out there. There is one Kurvan Nambi. There was a potter. So the potter used to make his pots. And he had no time to go to the temple because he was fighting for his existence. So he would make a flower made out of mud and then offer it to Venkateswara in his place itself. Now once the king of that land, he had come over. He used to offer flowers to Venkateswara Bhagavan. And when he would put the flowers before Balaji, his flower would be moved and a mud flower would appear, pushing it aside. That greatly frustrated him. And he tried to find out what is the secret of this. So he was informed about this potter, Kurvan Nambi. And since then, he made a place for Kurvan Nambi there, which still continues to exist. So what Annamayya started doing was, to every place, he would compose a bhajan, thereby glorifying the place, thereby emphasizing its divinity. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed his 6 major disciples, live in Vrindavan, reveal the glories of Vrindavan. When they went, Vrindavan was a forest and land. They stayed there. They started glorifying it. They started writing. As a consequence, everybody's divine sentiments developed. And billions of people have been able to cultivate their bhakti out of it. So when it comes to the 7 hills, Annamayya's contribution is exemplary. Some of these places, like Kapurappa Kaluva, a stream that was made of camphor, which has mention historically, but today you don't find it. It seems to have disappeared. And finally, he came into the mandir. And when he had darshan of Venkateswara Bhagavan, he felt as if all his spiritual practices had suddenly got intensified and found their goal and purpose. So he just kept looking at the Lord. Subsequently, he got message from Venkateswara Bhagavan. I want you to write one bhajan every day of your life. So imagine, to write one bhajan means that you have to keep God in your head. Otherwise, how will you write it? A poet who is writing one bhajan every day, how much of God consciousness he must be inside of him? So he actually stuck to it. He was 16 years old at that time. He continued writing till the last day of his life. He lived a very long life, 96 years. The next day, he went to some other places in Tirumala. And then it was time to again come to have darshan. He came in the afternoon. Now, after the Raj Bhog Aarti, practically in every temple, the darshan is closed and the Lord takes rest. Of course, in the United States, the Lord makes an exception on weekends. What to do? While in Rome, live as the Romans do. People are not willing to come during weekdays, so at least give them extra time for darshan on weekends. But he arrived when the curtains were closed, and he felt that the Lord had hidden himself and was not giving darshan. He felt such a deep anxiety, as if the Lord had withdrawn himself. So he started crying. And at that time, he recited his Venkateswara Satakam. As he was reciting, all of a sudden, the curtains opened. And how will the Lord acknowledge? So the garland on Venkateswara Bhagavan fell. Now, Venkateswara Bhagavan could not walk out of the temple. Here, I am blessing you. So it just fell off. And when the priests saw that, they said, oh my God, what kind of a devotee is he? So they acknowledged him as a devotee having the special blessings of Venkateswara Bhagavan. Subsequently, he began residing in Tirumala. And life for him became a festival. There was a saint there called Ghana Vishnu. He took his discipleship from Ghana Vishnu. And in his tradition, they would put the sacred marks on the body. So he took those sacred marks. And Ghana Vishnu was his guru now. So in the temple of Venkateswara Bhagavan, a lot of festivals used to be celebrated then and are celebrated now. People estimate that in a year, 450 festivals are celebrated in Balaji Mandir, which is as it should be. Bhakti is a Nitya Utsav. It's a daily festival. See, people need a reason. Today is New Year Eve, let's go and dance. And for the devotees, the God is ever beautiful and we can dance every day. People need a special reason. Today is so-and-so's birthday, we need to sing. And the devotees are always singing with their heart on every day, multiple times a day. So such became the festival life of Annamayya. And after his discipleship from Ghana Vishnu, he began to be known as Annamacharya, the name that persisted. So he sings out here, emphasizing that your Bhav creates your destiny. What we were talking about. You create that Bhav to the land of the 7 hills. You see it as Vaikuntha. You create the Bhav to something and see it as the divine Yamuna. What is connecting you to God is your Bhav. Manuji Maharaj said, "Na kashthe vidyate devo, na shilayam na mritsucha, bhavehi vidyate devas, tasmad bhavam samacharit." God doesn't reside in wood or in stone, but in the love-filled heart. With that love, you see Him in the deity and He actually exists there. Not 99.9%, but full 100% for His devotees. So Annamayya, in the morning, he would participate in the Suprabhatam, the famous Suprabhatam, Kaushalya Suprajaram Purva Sandhya Pravartate. Then in the daytime, the Kalyanotsavam, the wedding of Venkateswara and Padmavati would take place. Then the noontime Raj Bhogarti. At night time, the Shayanarti, which they call out there Mangalam. And then the deities would be put to rest. And he was living in his world of Bhav. Everything was going so well. But there were other things in store in life. Now Narayana Suri and Lakkambamba, they were spiritual people and they had such a wonderful son who had taken sannyas. The parents were not sannyasis. No matter what their spirituality, they retained their attachment to their Annamayya Lala. So they came to the 7 hills. They managed to find him there. And the mother, Lakkambamba, she cried and cried and cried. But he did not melt his heart. So she went before her Guru, Ghana Vishnu, and cried and cried and cried. So Ghana Vishnu said, "All right, beta, just go with them." So Annamacharya accompanied them back to Talapakka. There the mother now had the child in her grasp. She said, "I have to get you married." And she didn't get him married to one girl. She got him married to 2 sisters, Timmalakka and Akkalamma. However, he retained his spiritual absorption, and that family life only increased his poetic creativity. So when he would see the struggles of the Grihastha ashram, it would set him thinking of the divine leelas of Venkateswara Bhagavan. And when there was a fight, when wife and husband were fighting, he would then think of any fight between Padmavati and Venkateswara. So he writes a bhajan where Venkateswara is saying, "Tolerate, tolerate, tolerate." It is all right. Sometimes there is a fight between Lakkambamma and Timmalakka, the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. So he says that the mother-in-law, Lakshmi Devi, the son of Vishnu is Brahma, and Brahma's wife is Saraswati. So the daughter-in-law is Saraswati. So he writes a bhajan of the fight between Saraswati and mother-in-law Lakshmi. And when the little toddlers were there at home, now he thinks of Shri Krishna Leela and he writes bhajans on Shri Krishna. So all this was going on. He visited Ahobilam. Now in Ahobilam is the famous Simhachalam Mandir, where Nrsimha Bhagavan is supposed to have manifested, taken avatar. And there was a famous mutt there of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, And the Acharya there, Adivan Shatakopayati. So he had darshan of that great Acharya. And out there he wrote bhajans. So although he retained Venkateswara as his Ishtadev, he profusely writes about Ram, about Krishna. See, this question comes up again and again. I'm a devotee of Vishnu, can I sing bhajans of Ram? And look at these great saints, they don't see any difference. In that region was a king, the predecessor of the great king of the Vijayanagara Empire, Krishna Deva Rai. His predecessor was Saluva Narasimha Rai. Saluva Narasimha Rai became a friend of Annamacharya and started looking on him as his guru. And accompanying him, Annamacharya went to various temples around, and he would compose compositions to the deities in those temples. But at the same time, he was composing these bhajans about, the pastimes of Venkateswara and Padmavati, etc. Now the king had his own filthy mind. And the king said, look, why don't you write a bhajan about me and my queen? So he assigned that work to Annamacharya. Annamacharya's response was through the bhajan. He says, oh my mind, are you going to write a bhajan about a king? Are you going to get seduced by the temptation for wealth? Or is your vani, is your writing reserved for glorifying your Lord alone? So when he wrote like this, that was a direct insult to Saluva Narasimha Rai. And as a king, he could not tolerate it. So he asked Annamayya to be imprisoned. Iron chains were put around him. Annamayya, with his complete faith in God, just prayed and sang to him. And by divine intervention, one day, all of a sudden, the chains, they just broke asunder. And he was released. And that increased the faith of Saluva Narasimha Rai. And he continued to worship Annamayya, his guru. However, that episode left Annamayya very disgusted with the world. So he decided to leave it all. He left it all behind and went back to the 7 hills and continued living there for the rest of his life. He lived till the ripe age of 96. So, in those days, without the kind of medical aid that we people have, for somebody to live like this is a very special blessing. And he continued his vow of composing one bhajan every day. So he wrote 32,000 bhajans. Interestingly, 70% of these bhajans are in Madhurya Bhav. That is a very interesting thing to note. As such a great devotee. And in Madhurya Bhav, he is crying out to the Lord, you are my beloved. So all these bhajans that he wrote, they somehow got lost. People ask, why did they get lost for 450 years? Some say that he only prayed, my Lord, these bhajans, they are for your pleasure. Whatever be the reason, Bhagavan knows. In the year 1922, on the way to the shrine, there is a Bhandagaram. And people always went by and came and went by and came. Nobody knew. Until in 1922, they discovered there 1401 copper plates with the Talapaka Pad Sahitya. The Pad Sahitya of the Talapaka Brahmans. So then the Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam, they put a team on this and the research began. A few copper plates were discovered in Ahobilam, Mutt. A few copper plates were discovered in Srirangam. And they were astonished that how come in those days they were using copper plates for inscriptions, but they did. And finally, it was in the year 1992 that 29 volumes of the Talapaka Pad Sahitya got published after so many years. So one is of Chinna Annamacharya, two are of Pedda Annamacharya, and 26 are of Annamacharya. 26 of those volumes. They contain 14,000 bhajans of Annamacharya. And Chinna Annamacharya was the authorized biographer who has written his biography. And like I said, 70% of the bhajans are in Shringar Ras, in Madhurya Bhav. So from the 32,000 that he wrote, the world has 14,000 available.